Hi, this is Ruth Royal from Youth Pledge for Employers, and we're really delighted today to be talking to Rebecca Saunders, who's Group Head of HR at Camden Boss. Hi, Rebecca, lovely to see you.
Hi Ruth, lovely to see you too.
So, first of all, tell us a bit about Camden Boss and what you do.
So Camden Boss, we are a manufacturer of electrical components and electrical enclosures. So that basically means that we have kind of two areas of the business. One area is where we use a lot of flat sheet plastic to make electrical enclosures. So we're housing all the electrical stuff that needs to be housed and kept safe. So this can be anything from like a lot of electrical vehicle chargers. We work with a lot of companies that do EV charging, all the way through to some of our company that we work with are within kind of the hospital industry as well. So kind of carts that can protect dialysis machines, etc. and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Really wide ranging. And then on the other side is kind of our electrical components business. So this is where we sell kind of your components, your little indicators, that kind of elements that will go in to make something much bigger and needed for the electrical industry. So wide ranging in terms of like where we go and where our customers are. We ship internationally, so we have customers across the world, which makes it interesting because there's something new happening every day, or there's a new market opening up every day. So it does make it exciting. Oh, I'm sorry, I've just gone.
That's so interesting, because that seems to be like one of those companies that you don't even like in the day-to-day life as a layperson like me. You, of course, those things need making, but you don't necessarily think about the fact that that happens locally to us in our region, or so that's so interesting. What sort of, I mean, it seems to me that's obviously quite a lot of things happen at Camden Boss.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit about the different areas of the business that there are and the different sort of skills that people have working in those areas?
Yeah, of course. So I'll kind of start with a bit of a journey in terms of how it goes if we were making a project in some senses. So
yeah,
it usually starts with our sales and our marketing team. So we have a sales and marketing team that work quite closely together. So our marketing will do all kind of our websites, our social media, kind of anything that needs to present us back. They'll help with our events, so any events that we've got going on as well. And then we've got our sales team. So we've got sales that look after different areas. So we've got key account managers, and we've also got a distribution manager as well. So we work quite heavily with distributions as well. So they tend to be the ones that pull in our leads from our customers, or they'll go and find our customers for us. And then, so especially for the flat sheet side, there will tend to be a customer that comes to us and says, I've got a thing and it needs a house. And we go, right, okay, tell us how you need that house, or what you're thinking about that, etc. So it might be that it needs to be fire resistant, water resistant, because it's going outside. It needs to have a certain rating to make sure that it fully protects the electrical equipment that goes inside it. So and they might say, we want it to look really aesthetically pleasing. We think it should be in a rectangle box, but we're not too sure, or something along those lines. Yeah. That then goes to our design team. So we have an NPD team, which stands for New Product Development Team.
Wow.
So that's where all our design engineers sit. So they will then come up with, they'll work very closely with the customer and our sales team to then work out actually, what do we want to do? How do we want to do this? Actually, what's ease of access for our customers to get their electrical equipment in? How do we then make sure we keep it safe? Actually, do you need stuff coming out of it? So do you need a hole for a wire or whatever it is along those lines? So that team will make that and design it with our customer in mind. And they'll probably be back and forth in terms of approving the design to see whether that works. Once their customer's happy, the design team says yes, this works, etc. They will then go to our supply team, so our purchasing and planning team, in terms of, we need this type of material to build this box. Can you get this in for us? So then we've got our purchasing and planning team. So they will be like, right, let's see if we can source the best deal. Where can we get the kind of the best price for the product that we need? Actually, how long is that lead time? Are we getting it in from a different country? So then does that mean we need to factor that in, etc.? So they'll do a lot of kind of sourcing for us, making sure that we get a really good deal for what we need, making sure that kind of there's going to be no issues with, I don't know, the screws that we need, the fixings that we need. They can kind of make sure that we've got that all for when we need to. Then our planning team will go, right, let's put this into a schedule. So when are we saying that we need to do this? We've given a lead time to our customer, and let's say, let's go for this. So then they will put that into a schedule, and say, right, this is what it looks like. Next week you're making this, and that will then go down to our production team. So we have a CNC team who will cut out the whole plastic shapes for us. So we have about 6 CNC machines. So they will be programmed and then set up to run, and our CNC team will make sure that they're cut to what they need to be, and they're looked after. So our CNC teams will then cut that, and then it moves over to our production assembly area, is a wide range of skills needed in there. So within our production assembly area, we have teams that will do kind of folding. So we'll use heat to fold some of the plastic, to make sure it becomes a box or a shape of whatever we need. There'll be some kind of gluing to make sure we can stick some sides together, some soldering if we need to. If the customer wants
really multi-skilled engineers in that way.
Really multi-skilled, and like you have the opportunity to move around, so it doesn't mean that you can just stay in one area. Actually, if you've been kind of like soldering for a while and you want to go and see what goes on in the folding machine, by all means, like we try to move our employees around as much as possible, so you kind of get a wide range of skills that you can have a look at and areas to get involved in. Kind of actually the customer might say, do you know what, we want this enclosure, but then we want it digitally printed on. So then it will go to our digitally print team, and they will then print on it in terms of whatever the customer would like. It might need a hole putting in it somewhere, so then kind of our Bridgeport team might put a hole in it in terms of where it needs to go, etc. That should be all good to go. So we've gone through our production area. This is when then our quality team come in. So they'll come in and check it to make sure that we've got it good to go. There's no quality issues. So we have a quality team of 4 people. So they do a wide range of kind of checking what that looks like, making sure it's good. So if you've got a real good attention to detail, quality is brilliant, because they are nitpicking at everything, but it needs to happen. And then, so the quality team will kind of check it, make sure it's good to go. Once it's good to go, it will then go on to our warehouse team, who will kind of pack, kind of get all the shipping labels that it needs to be, get it all sorted. So within our warehouse team, we have a packing team, a picking team, and a dispatch team as well. So they will make sure that we kind of packed it correctly, and we've kept the product safe, so it's all kind of put in and neatly, so there's going to be no damage when it gets transported. Our dispatch team will make sure that we've got the right labels for it to be dispatched to wherever we need, arrange the couriers to come along, making sure that we're getting the best price for our couriers, etc. And then our couriers will come and take it off to our customer. So in terms of like a product journey, that tends to be the product journey that it goes
to
on.
Understand how that all sort of fits together. And there seems to be like a huge variety of skills that must be needed organisationally, even just thinking first of all alone about just the engineering piece.
Completely.
So you've got potentially, so your design team, what is their training? Are they like design engineers, or have they got different backgrounds?
Yeah, so the design engineers mainly. We have members that are just interested in it, and then we've put them on apprenticeship to go through it. Some of our design engineers are really interested in kind of the artwork element of it. So some of the digital print, we would design the artwork for that customer.
Wow.
So actually there's a real element of creativity there in terms of getting it, and within the kind of the design team as well, we, as being called new product development, we kind of let their creative juices go in terms of, we've got some data for you from our sales and marketing team in terms of what we might think the market might be like, or actually where we think it might go. Come up with a product, and they can kind of let themselves go, creative juices flying, come up with a product that might fit the spec that we think we might need.
That's amazing. So do those people tend to be then sort of skilled in engineering design, but are they also, do they have things like, are they good at particular software packages, or is there anything like, do they use CAD, how does that work?
So we use CAD and CAM, is what we use here. So we use Solid Edge as being kind of the ones that we use here. So we but equally, if you want to come and have a look, and we're more than happy for people to come and have a look and see what that's like. And
fantastic.
And have like just see what the team do, because they're great in terms of getting like ideas over the line, or playing around with areas just to see what it looks like differently. and just literally getting their creativity juices flying. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so interesting. And then so you've got those guys in design and that new product design, and then you've also got people that are CNC
Yeah.
operators. So
Yeah.
essentially, I would probably think of those as like machinists
Yeah.
in that way. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, do they tend to have gone through like an engineering sort of qualifications to get to that point? Are they sort of
No, so our CNC teams, a lot of it has been training on the job.
Oh
So
wow,
a
that's
lot of that,
brilliant.
yeah, we've had a couple that we've put through kind of a machinist apprenticeship at the same time, but a
Yeah.
lot of that is actually you can come in and we'll train you on the job if you're interested in it, and we've got that vacancy that we've got teams that are ready to train people to get them to where they need to be as well. So
Oh my gosh, that's
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
So what sort of and again, I mean, is that what sort of skills and qualities are you looking for from people that are perhaps you've maybe got these entry points across your organisation? I just sort of wondered what they may look like for people younger who are perhaps starting out on their career journeys, what those
Yeah,
entry
of
points might look
course.
like and what you look for.
Yeah, of course. So, kind of our main ethos is that actually, if you've got the ambition or you're eager to learn and you're really interested in what we do, that's kind of our main area that we're looking for entry points in terms of we can kind of teach you as much as we can or where you need to be. For some areas like our kind of design areas, etc., it's that interest in kind of drawing, or if you've got a really creativity like flair, or actually you're really good. So a lot of our design engineers are gamers.
Oh wow,
A
how
lot.
interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of them are gamers because it's problem solving all the time. So you're coming
Right.
in and a customer saying, I want this, and you're going, oh, I get that. But actually, if we design it like that, you're never going to get anything in it. So then it's not going to work. And how do we then solve that problem so you can get what you want and we can make sure that it's fit for purpose? Or it might be that actually they've designed something, they've made a prototype for it, and actually it hasn't quite worked. So then how do we get over that problem and how do we solve that? Or actually, if there's an issue that's arisen, what do we do for doing that? So a lot of our design team are gamers because actually every day in your gaming, you're trying to solve a problem or trying to figure something
That's so
out.
true. Oh, how brilliant. And I love that that translates to that creativity and design.
Completely, yeah, completely. And then kind of for our CNC teams, it's very much actually an attention for detail just to make sure that actually it's cutting correctly and it's doing what it needs to do. There's small elements of programming, but we can teach that as well. So it's not a massive element there at all. It's just kind of that eagerness and willing to learn or just interested in something or fascinated to find out how it works is our main areas that we look for.
Oh, that just sounds brilliant. And again, sort of out of interest, really, in the print team, what sort of skills do people have then? Is it still that kind of like the creative element for that too?
Yeah, mainly the creative element. So kind of all the kind of printing will happen in terms of design will happen within our design team, and then our print team, they're there just making sure that our printers are running correctly, putting on where they're needed. There'll be an eye of detail for there as well. So sometimes the printer might not do what we ask it to. So it's actually making sure it's aligned correctly and we've got it in terms of where it needs to sit, or we haven't got a blurred line occasionally, or it will print sometimes slightly different colours. You're like, that's not what we expected.
So they're almost like that first line of defence in terms of like quality control, I guess.
Completely. Yeah.
And the quality guys, do they tend to have been engineers as well? What sort of backgrounds do they have?
Yeah, so they have a real mix of backgrounds. One has been an engineer before and has moved over. Others have just been interested. Some have been from health and safety and moved into quality.
Oh, right. That eye for detail being really transferable, the rigour. Oh,
completely.
that's so interesting.
Yeah, completely. Or actually, some have come from our production teams and then gone into quality because actually they've been part of the making and the building of it. And then they're like, actually, I can add value in terms of the quality team because I know what we're looking for, etc. So we've had some like kind of vertical moves for or horizontal moves for some of our teams at the same time in terms of actually it's that eye for detail, kind of again problem solving. So we've got an issue or a customer has raised an issue, how do we then go about solving that? And they can figure that out and work with our teams. A lot of kind of good communication is needed within our quality teams because they're working across so many different departments to try and solve the issues if we need to, or figure out why we haven't produced something to what we need it to be. So there is a bit of kind of good communication when across our teams there.
That is so interesting. The breadth of what you do and how much happens in-house is really incredible, isn't it? Because often when I speak to businesses now, this bit gets outsourced there, this bit gets outsourced there. So the fact that you've got that control over it gives you that quality oversight all the way through that product journey. What do you think? You've talked a bit about some of the qualities of the people that you're looking for. You're looking about people that are keen and passionate to learn and, you know, interested in what's happening and, you know, it's sort of dedicated in terms of being eager to commit. Are there any other sort of personal qualities that you would sort of say to young people, these are the kind of things that we're looking for when we're recruiting at Camden Boss?
I think it is mainly just actually that kind of attitude as well. So in terms of attitude, that you are willing to get on with people, like you're good for working in a team or like communicating with a team. We don't need everyone to be confident to speak to other people. We know sometimes that can be the scariest thing, or even picking up a phone can be the scariest thing. But there's that willing to work in a team or kind of share ideas. We also love it for people to kind of like be confident and say, I don't understand this, or I think we can do it a better way, because for us, we're continually evolving and we're trying to make improvements wherever we can. So kind of that, I don't think this works, or why do we do it this way, is great for us in terms of new, fresh ideas coming in, being like, I don't get it, and be like, that's fine, because actually it might be that we do it the most convoluted way that doesn't make any sense. So like, let us know. So it's that kind of real like intrigued and intuition and curiosity in terms of why, how, when, that kind of areas for us is massive, because we're on a massive journey of continually learning and developing where we can, and we instill kind of a learning culture in terms of you learn something new every day. So actually that curiosity of just being why, how, when, what, I don't understand, that kind of is great for us as well.
Oh, that's really good to understand, and so interesting about that sort of culture of continuous improvement. And for you, Rebecca, I mean, and you work in HR, tell us a bit about how you got into HR and what you actually do in your day job, because that's very different from being a quality design engineer.
Yeah, of course. So my HR career it started at university. So I did a degree in business management and HR at university. Prior to that, before I went to university, I worked in retail. So retail was kind of my background. At university, I did business management and HR, and a part of my placement year was I went back into retail for a placement year.
Right.
So slightly different, a mixture of being kind of shop floor as well as within the HR department in the retail sector. I finished university, didn't quite know what I wanted to do, or what kind of role I wanted to do, so went back into retail. So I was in retail management there. I love retail. I think it's amazing in terms of like what happens every day. You meet someone new every day, etc. And then I decided, you know what, actually I have a HR degree, I want to go into HR. So I went as a recruitment coordinator, and then moved into HR support. So very much kind of your first point of call for answering calls, carrying out letters, etc., those kinds of stuff, helping people with holiday, all of those. And then moved into a more HR generalist role. So this is very much kind of supporting our managers with kind of disciplinary grievances, that kind of area, as well as your rewards and benefits, your learning and development programs. What do we need to enable us to meet our business strategy? From there, I then moved into an employee engagement officer role. Right. So this is very much looking at actually how can we get our employees engaged and on board in terms of what we do as a business. How can we keep them motivated, actually what's working and what's not for them. Do we need different programs in place in terms of learning and development? Is there something in terms of our award structure that's just not working? Do we need to do something different there? What's kind of the feedback coming back from our employees? How's things working or not? And then from there came into this role at Camden Boss. So as group head of HR, my role's really varied, but I love it that way. I wouldn't change it at all. But it means that I do a lot of actually looking at where our strategy is for a business, and what do we need from our people in that sense. So actually, where do we find our development needs, and what does that look like as a more strategic approach, and what does that look like in terms of where we are benchmarked for salary and rewards with kind of our peers within where we work, or actually generalized in a bigger kind of national sense. What does that mean for actually what are we looking for from our leaders or kind of recruitment, in terms of actually where do we think our next gaps are going to be for recruiting or hiring? Have what we've got in place, is that actually meeting what we need in terms of demand, and actually is that getting to what we need to push our business forward in a sense, as well as kind of our employee relations. So actually, is there anything going on that we need to support employees for, etc.? Where does our well-being element come into this, and what does our well-being strategy look like, and making sure that we're supporting our employees, and making sure that we revisit that regularly, given that so much is going on in the world at this moment in time. Actually, are we giving the support to our employees via kind of our well-being strategy, as well as our learning and development strategy, recruitment, etc. So it's very much looking at what's going on externally as well as what's happening internally from a strategic view, and how do we meet that with kind of the HR hat on, and kind of business hat on that.
Oh my gosh, that sounds absolutely fascinating, like the breadth of that. And I'm really interested to hear you talk about like your journey into HR, because I think when you're young, it's easy to think that you've got to pick something and you do it and that's what happens. And actually life isn't always like that. Sometimes it's more circuitous, isn't it, in terms of how you get there.
Completely.
And we've asked everybody this, Rebecca, to sort of close, but if you were to go back and have a conversation with young Rebecca starting out, what bit of careers advice would you give yourself?
I think it would be to not always think that you should go to the next bit, or have a career plan. Actually, sometimes it's almost like a real squiggly element in terms of you don't need to reach this box or that box to make it. Actually, my career has panned out how I would never have expected at all. Like this wasn't part of the plan, but it's those saying yes to every opportunity that comes up and kind of giving it a go, and not being afraid to say, I don't get this, or I don't quite understand this, because actually, from my point of view, it's never a failure. You're always learning something in that area of being like, oh, that didn't go too well, but I've learned something from it, and you can move forward with that and you can get stronger with that. So I would say kind of don't think you've got a set career plan. If you worry that you haven't, don't worry, I don't think you need it. And also don't be scared to kind of say I don't understand, or be afraid that you don't get it at the first point, because we've all been there one day. Like
oh, that is brilliant. Thank you so much. That is a great note to end on. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been brilliant to speak to you.
Yeah, it's been lovely. Thank you very much.